Paul, go ahead and get us started at coach's left.
Coach, obviously a third straight game where you guys had a double-digit lead in the first half and then saw a loss at the end. Your thoughts on Hubbard and Epps? I mean, I know there were other plays that contributed to the loss, but those two obviously had an off-night shooting.
Yeah, tonight's game unfolded much differently than the two previous games that you talked about. I didn't think our guys in those two games handled the runs by the other teams that we've already talked about, but I thought tonight they handled it a lot better. They stood their ground and even found themselves down 4 pretty late in the game and stayed together, and we got the stops that we needed. We just couldn't find a way to put the ball through the goal the last couple possessions. But, I didn't think it just from where I sat, it was a completely different feel in our huddles compared to maybe some of our huddles in the previous two games. In terms of, Epps and Hubbard, they didn't have an efficient night. They just didn't. They didn't shoot the ball the way they're capable of, and everyone that's been following us knows that that they're a big part of us scoring the basketball.
We'll go to Robbie, front row, middle, and then we'll go back to Sam.
You talked about those last two possessions offensively. That's probably as good of a situation as you can imagine. You get Josh at the free throw line, and then pretty good look at the layup there on that last possession too. What'd you take away from those two opportunities there to get the lead?
Listen, all that matters is who won or who lost. I understand that. We're going to continue to talk about the game, rightfully so. But the situational part of the game, that you get to the end and it's magnified because the time runs out. Like you said, I wouldn't change any of it. With what we did, even going back to the Hubbard 3 and how we generated that, and then getting to the line and then getting to the cup. Again, they're late with the right player. I'll take that scenario 100 out of 100. I'll take that scenario in that type of game where the score was, time remaining, etc., 100 out of 100. It just, for whatever reason, they didn't decide to let the ball go through the net.
We'll go to Sam, second row to coach's right.
How strange is it that Josh is having this great scoring season and shooting the ball pretty well from the field, but his numbers from the free throw line are just a bit down from just his career numbers?
Yeah, it's not something I pondered at length. I believe in Josh, and he's always been a pretty good free throw shooter, and maybe it was a bad omen when he missed his first one to start the night. But again, I'll take that scenario every single time.
We'll go to Colin, second row to coach's left.
I know you would have liked to have rewarded it, but could you talk about the atmosphere tonight and all the festivities kind of around the game and the crowd that showed up?
Yeah, I mean, we expected that. Don't take that the wrong way. I mean, it's what it's been every time. It's the rivalry game, and I think both coaches would have said the same thing. And I just hate the fact that they're having to leave after this game that means so much to so many people around here, and not feel that winning feeling that we've had in these games, at least at home, since we've got here. So this is a different feeling for all of us to walk out of here tonight, and then certainly with Alumni Weekend, and we had a lot of former players back. I got to meet a lot of former Bulldogs, and they had some events, and time permitting, I got to be a small part in it both yesterday and today, and it was that part was fun. That part was cool to hear these guys talk about their experiences and their stories, and I'm sure they were embellished a little bit as they get a little bit older, but that part of the weekend was cool. And then certainly the 96 team I think all but one or two guys, was here for that. And I know Coach Williams was super excited about that. And, I don't get to be a part of that, what happens in the game, but hopefully that was well received too.
Go back to Sam, to coach's right in second row.
This is the third conference game now where you guys have struggled to shoot the three efficiently. I believe the third time under 20%. Are you noticing guys or teams guarding you any differently, or what do you think is maybe just contributing to that?
I don't think teams are really guarding us that much differently. I think the SEC length, as compared to maybe some other teams that we had been playing, it's just natural, right? I mean, people recruit length for a reason, and it's to get it into the game. I thought that was part of it. And then even on the other end, as the game settled in, especially in the last 10 minutes or so of the game, they just went to their lengthier guards and then tried to get the right matchup that they desired and try to get the ball as close to the basket as they could and just shoot over us. And we switched up our coverages multiple times from man to switch to trap, and threw them off a little bit. And I felt like that in the zone, gave us a chance to come back and have a chance to win the game. But in terms of what you talked about, like we're not shooting the ball very well from three. We're just having an SEC play, and the way we're built, for us to be successful on most nights, that can't be the case.
Go front row middle to Robbie, and then we'll slide it down next to him.
Speaking of that, I'd asked you what was your comments at halftime of that Oklahoma game to kind of change the outlook of that second half from three-point range. And this one, they kept shooting the threes. Was it something that they were seeing defensively from Ole Miss that they kept firing up the threes they were struggling on, or what did you see offensively?
Well, they're clogging the lane like a lot of teams are, and some of our other players. So when you look at it from the ball handler, and depending on who it is with their length or not or lack thereof, it's hard to get all the way to the rim in the half court. You can get there more, out of a set or in the transitional part when the court's broken up like that. So, it's hard sometimes when they're gapped up like that to get there. And Ole Miss, they're one of the best shot blocking teams in the country. They really protect the rim, very, very well. They wall up. They really, really do a good job of getting in the gaps and walling up at the rim and getting the shield game in. But, I thought we took some questionable shots throughout the game. One comes to mind with under 2 minutes that I know we'd like to have back. But, it's a fine line. It's a very fine line when you're a scorer, shooter, and when you rise up to shoot the ball, you want to have a ton of confidence in yourself, and you want your coaching staff and your teammates to have a ton of confidence too. It's easy to look backwards and say, I want that one back. I'd like to have that one back. And we certainly do that and try to learn and grow so the next time it doesn't happen. But that's just part of the growing process.
Time for a few more. We'll go front row left.
You talk about how Mississippi State basketball includes some tough post play, which you guys had offensively, especially early. I guess just how does it add to those frustrations knowing that you had that going early, but just weren't able to reciprocate that from deep?
Well, when you talk about the post play, right, or post, it's not like we're throwing the ball in there flat back and they're making a bunch of moves. It's more running the court. It's more rolling on ball screens. It's more offensive rebound putbacks. It's not like in the first half when they had some success with it. It was flat back catches like when Tolu Smith was here and he'd back him down, make a move. These guys aren't quite, they have different skill sets. So it wasn't anything philosophically that we did different. They just did a better job of guarding it, to be honest with you.
We'll go back to the middle with Danny P. in the third row.
Coach, we've talked a lot about Jamar and his development, but just talk about his play tonight. It may have been his best game, but do you think it may be because he's one of the only two Mississippi guys involved in that game that might have been the case?
Yeah, I thought Jamar was really, really good. He was dynamic. He was quick twitched, and was all over the court. He stuffed the stat sheet tonight with the block shots and the offensive rebounds and the way he was moving around on defense. And again, I off the top of my head, I can't imagine, at least in an impactful game like this, that it's not his best game to date. And with his development and in future, like hopefully, it's something we're going to be talking about later.
We'll go back to the cameras and David in the suit to wrap it up.
Thanks, Coach. Jamarian Davis Fleming coming in his freshman year. What has he added to the team so far in games like this? And with 13 lead changes, you and Coach Beard got here about the same time. How do you describe the just Ole Miss, Mississippi State games and what that's like when you're coaching in general?
Well, the first part I just talked about Jamar, and we always knew his ceiling was high, and it still is, maybe higher than we anticipated. But the thing that I didn't know was his floor was higher than maybe we anticipated. And when he got here in June, I wouldn't have said that. He's really worked his tail off and adapted to culture and coaching, and he's gotten behind the scenes. You guys aren't here every day. You would have no idea how much he's improved from June to now. But it's been awesome to be a part of it and to witness it. And when he has a game like this, I think it'll just, make his confidence shoot through the roof. But in terms of, this game, we've been successful way more than not since we arrived in these games. It means a lot to me and my staff and our players, even in this era where, they're moving in and out year to year, but we try to educate our guys and make sure they understand what this game means to the people of the state, certainly to our fan base and our community, and we did. And I'm sure if you were just a neutral observer, it was a fun game to watch if you like defense and rebounding and obviously situational basketball at the end. But like I told the guys, obviously everybody's crushed and disappointed, and I wish I could have had some words of encouragement for them to make them feel better, but that's not how it works sometimes. It's going to sting, and it should sting, and that's kind of where we're at.
All right, guys, we'll see you Monday. Thank you.